Jackie, thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to chat with you, especially after watching your recent talk that was given to, I mean, there were hundreds of people in the audience. I know you just shared as well virtually. So, and specifically around this idea of really how to better connect with clients. So, before we get into that, I'd love to hear a little bit more about kind of your journey to where you got to today with your own firm and the research that you've been doing, et cetera. So, I'll let you share a little bit more to give a prerequisite before we dive in deeper.
Yeah, so I don't know how far back I should go, but I started in the business, gosh, it's been almost 20 years. I was only 21 and I was just really finding my way, figuring out what did I want to do and how did I want to do it. And of course, at
Mhm,
21, you have no idea what's even available.
mhm,
So I started working for a company that was all about selling products, and I realized very quickly that I did not want to do that, that I
mhm,
felt like a salesperson, not like an advisor. And
mhm.
so I ended up pivoting, and at 23, I went out on my own, actually,
My God.
independent, under the supervision of a couple of veterans in the industry to make sure
Mhm.
I wasn't getting myself into trouble. I also, at that time, went back and got my master's degree, got my certified financial planner designation, and started teaching as an adjunct professor.
Oh, very cool.
And I was teaching financial planning and managerial finance at the college level. And it was really fun. It was a way, honestly, to subsidize my income at the time because I was trying to build from the ground up without a lot of help and needed to have that money coming
Yeah.
in. But what I learned from that experience is how much I loved educating, not only clients, but also other advisors or other young professionals who wanted to become financial planners. And
Hmm.
that was really the first time that I had experience. I don't want to say coaching, but educating, teaching just people who wanted to become financial planners in a way that felt really positive to be able to expose more young people to our industry, to grow the financial planning network, have
Mhm.
more people involved, and and teach them about financial planning, not just about selling.
Mhm.
So that was really kind of the catalyst for when I started wanting to teach, but also when I started Guide My Finances. So my current financial planning firm, I started in 2009
Mhm.
after graduating and getting my CFP while I was teaching.
Mhm.
And I focused primarily on offering financial planning for a flat fee.
Mhm.
And at that time, nobody was doing that. It
Yeah.
was something very new where I had advisors telling me, why would you take a residual business and make it transactional? You're
Mhm.
making a huge mistake. And
Mm.
I said, well, that might be the case, but I want to do the right thing and I want to be able to advise clients. So I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
Fast forward, 15 years later, and we've grown just so much. I mean, we now are managing almost $200 million in assets. I have a team of 800 people. I mean, sorry, of 8 people, not
Mhm.
800 people. And we're, bringing on 5 to 10 new clients a month, all
Wow.
organically,
Holy
just full
smokes.
word of mouth saying that they
Wow.
want a financial plan that's unbiased. So it's through all of these experiences that I wanted to not only, obviously continue to grow my practice, but be able to teach other advisors of how they can do the same thing.
Mhm.
I was told not to do it this way, but I think it is the way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
We feel like you can best serve people and they can be well taken care of and such. Um, can you share a little bit more about, with your talk and getting to this idea of being able to really connect with clients? I mean, that's a lot of clients that you're working with, especially to be able to bring on. How are you cultivating those relationships, maintaining those relationships, even working with your team to be able to sort of pull out those nuances? Can you just share a little bit
yeah.
more about that side of things?
Yeah. So I think that, for our existing clients, we know them really well. We really make an effort to understand what's going on in their lives beyond just the investments we're managing for them.
Hmm.
We're a very goal oriented firm. So when we're sitting down with clients at the beginning or every 6 months or every year or however frequently it is, we're really talking about, what do you want to accomplish? What and not everybody knows the answer to that. So it's
Hmm.
figuring out how do we help them get into that.
Hmm.
An example is I have a lot of clients who tell me, I want to retire as soon as possible.
Uh-huh.
Well, through asking questions and really engaging them and having that connection, what we find is that they don't actually want to stop working. They just hate their job. They
Mhm.
want something different, but they feel tied to that or they're afraid to make a change.
Yeah.
So by having these really open conversations with our existing clients, we can build this connection by helping them identify what it is that they're communicating, because they
Mhm.
might say, I want to retire, but they may not. They may just want to downsize their job, work a
Mhm.
little bit less, have a more enjoyable career, something along those lines.
Is there
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah. Oh no, I was just going to say, so it's helping them identify what it is that they're communicating and then developing the strategy to help them reach it. And there's
Mhm.
nothing more rewarding for both parties than
Mhm.
helping somebody achieve the goals that they've set out to achieve.
Mhm.
And that builds an immense amount of connection.
What do you, is there anything you're doing in the discovery? Like, are you doing away with the traditional discovery? Are you training your team about how to be able to sort of better pull out those nuances? Like, what approach are you taking to be able to set the foundation? Is it even happening in like the prospecting phase of it? What are you
Yeah.
doing to make sure it's that right fit? And there's like, I guess that shared passion between you and your team and what you can bring to the table and the prospect or the current client.
Yeah,
So,
so I think it's two things. So one, we don't have a questionnaire that we ask people when we meet with them. Like my first question to prospects when they find us is, why are you reaching out to a financial planner today?
mhm,
And then I think one of the best things you can do is just be quiet and listen to what people are saying and ask questions to engage them rather than selling yourself.
mhm,
I heard years ago that the best conversations that people have are ones where they do most of the talking. Like this is how they remember that they've had a great conversation.
mhm.
And so let people share, ask questions to show that you're listening and that you're engaged in what they're saying,
Right.
and really dig into the big picture versus asking, how much money do you have? How much can I invest for you? How is it being invested? It's not about the investments, it's about the bigger picture. And then the investments can be the secondary piece of the puzzle.
So before you, I'm assuming, let's say that they're either kind of deep into the sales process, right? In that first meeting with them, have you already collected, and so no, you're just literally day one. How did you find us? Just in listening to where they're at. So it's almost
Yeah,
like doing away with a traditional onboarding, if you
yeah, there's
will.
yeah, we don't even so during the prospect meeting or that initial contact, we are having a conversation about what are they seeking?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they looking for a financial planner today? Not just in general, but like what today made you reach out?
Mm-hmm.
Because the chances are they've been thinking about it for a while, but something may have happened recently
Yeah.
that has made it have to happen today.
Mm-hmm.
I've reached a breaking point. My mother just passed away. I am overwhelmed at work and I need to find a solution. There's
Mm-hmm.
usually a trigger. I mean, not all the time, but I would say a good amount that has made
Right.
this a sense of urgency now,
Uh-huh.
right? So if you can just ask questions about why today, what are you looking for? What's worked or hasn't worked? If they're leaving their old advisor, why? What weren't they providing you that you're looking for?
Right.
And really get away from how much money's in your IRA, how much,
Right.
like, it's not about the
The
questionnaire.
transactional side of it, if you will.
Yeah, it's more about that. Now, after that initial meeting, we've already built a connection. We've talked about their goals. We've
Right.
not, I mean, yes, you need to get a sense of where they are from an income and asset perspective without digging into all of it. But we've built this level of connection where now we're saying, okay, we're going to build a financial plan for a fee. So it actually doesn't matter how much money you have. You can
Mm-hmm.
have zero money saved or $10 million saved.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much I charge for my time to build out a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found is that very frequently clients say, oh, this is what I've been searching for. I
Mm.
want to be able to work with somebody who can help me develop the strategy without selling me anything and without me having to move all my money to them on that first
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And so it's creating this ability to not even need the questionnaire
Mm.
until we're doing the planning, which we'll actually email them like a list of documents that we need to start the planning process,
Right.
collect them all, get them to us before the next meeting so that
Yeah.
we have the data to ask more questions. But we don't even talk about most of those things on the first call.
So are you because you've got a team, right, that you're working with. Are you role playing with your team to kind of help them learn how to kind of probe these questions out of, prospects? Because, some people it's just sort of a natural thing, and other people it's just not as natural. How are you cultivating that culture for that, to be able to make those connections with clients?
So I think number one, nobody has a quota of how much business they have to close in a month because I
Mhm.
think that this requirement to bring on a certain amount of clients or a certain amount of assets creates a sense of fear in the advisor that the clients can feel, right? If somebody feels, I
Yes.
better this client, otherwise I'm going to lose my job, that client can hear that and feel
Yep.
that without even realizing it. So there's no such thing as that in our company. There's no quotas, there's no assets in our, I mean, there's goals that we have, but they're not
Right.
required. For the first 6 months that anybody's working with me for my firm, they sit in on the meetings, take notes, and do the planning.
Mhm.
So they almost shadow me for 6 months to learn how I communicate, what the process looks like. They're doing the financial planning and
Mhm.
they're sitting in all the meetings to learn firsthand while supporting me, taking notes and doing all the things that then I don't
Right.
have to do. So it's not paying somebody to do my job, it's paying somebody to support me while they're learning.
That makes sense. Yep.
And then through that osmosis, they end up gathering the ability to do the same thing. And not everybody's a great fit. I mean, so not everybody can fit that mold, but those
Yep.
who love it do. They really are attracted to it and do an amazing job.
No, that makes sense. So one of the things that we do here with our team is it's called disc training. So you learn about different profiles, and then you
Mhm.
learn how to be able to better work with that individual based off of the profile. And so you could be
Right.
in a meeting, you go, oh, that's definitely a D person, or that's definitely an I
Yeah.
person. And so I sort of know that this is what's important to them, or this is a hot button. Now I know in your talk, you've created these profiles of different kinds of people, right? Sort of avatars. Are you then also training your team on, okay, this is that kind of avatar, and these are the kinds of things they're going to be, looking for? Or how are you applying that kind of methodology towards your approach with maybe your recommendations, or your how you're like fostering your company culture?
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, this talk that I did, I basically created the Financial Behavior Institute. And through the Institute, I created a course to become certified as a financial behavior planning specialist.
Mhm.
That course actually teaches client experience, communication, financial planning, and does a deep dive into the 8 different financial personalities or avatars, as you said, to
Yeah.
understand what certain clients are looking for, what their triggers are that have them walking out the door, how to best communicate with different personality types, etc.
Mhm.
Everyone on my team has taken this course, so they have an
Yeah.
introduction to all of that. But when clients come in, we also label them within the office as a personality type. So
Mhm.
I know that for me personally, I don't love working with moguls or consumers. They're just
Mhm.
not a good fit for me. And so if somebody comes in, I'll like let oh, they were a mogul, I sent them somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or, hey, they're an architect, which to us means we better be really detailed with our explanation and our reasoning behind why we're making recommendations.
Yes. I think that
If
was the
they're
engineer. Did you also coin it as the engineer in the talk?
Yep, the
Yes, yes,
architect.
yes. Yeah,
Almost
architect, yes.
all, yep, almost
Mm.
all engineers are architects. I said I probably should have called it the engineer instead of the
Yeah.
architect because it fits. But then we have clients who are avoiders, and we know that if they're avoiders, we have better be very simple with our recommendations,
Mhm.
very actionable, and
Mhm.
set things up on an automated way. So
Mhm.
if you have somebody who's extremely detail oriented and relates more with that architect profile, or somebody who's an avoider who just coming to you in the first place is overwhelming for them because they've always avoided their finances to begin with, and they
Mhm.
really just need somebody to tell them, this is what you need to do. Let me set it up so you don't have to think about it again. Those
Mhm.
are going to be 2 entirely different interactions.
Yes. Yes.
And so if you're interacting this way with this person, it's not going to work. Or
Yeah.
it's not going to work in the way that is going to feel supportive to that client.
Mhm.
So it's kind of twofold. It's identifying who they are, labeling this type of client. This client is this personality,
Mhm.
and then knowing how to communicate and engage with that person, or knowing that they're not a good fit and
Yeah.
sending them elsewhere, which is even sometimes the most valuable.
Yes, absolutely. Because then they're able to find that win-win for what they need. And you know that you're probably just not going to mesh with them in the right way longer term. So
Right, exactly. It's understanding your core competencies and your company values or even your personal values and making sure they're aligned with the clients you're bringing on.
absolutely. Yeah, it's so critical, to be able to have that authentic connection with who you're working with. So
Yeah, of course.
do you mind sharing a little bit more? Because we talked a lot about kind of that, like I'll say pre-client phase onboarding, but how about post-onboarding? What do you do to be able to maintain and continuously build those connections? Or do you have like a cycle where you're doing outreach, or are there client gifts, or are there just quick notes to let them know that you're thinking of them? Like, what are you doing? Or is it vary by
All of it. It's all
avatar?
of it.
Okay, wow,
Yes.
okay. Love
So,
all those kind of processes that you've built into this, like, these
yeah.
concepts, but go ahead, yeah.
So we definitely have client segments. And on the Financial Behavior Institute website, there's actually a client segmentation tool that you can download if anybody is looking for how to do that. But we have our A clients, B clients, C clients, D clients, just like a lot of firms do. And depending on the tier, they are going to receive a different level of outreach, right? Everybody is going to get a birthday card or gift or something depending
Right.
on where they're at. We are going to reach out to every single client at least twice a year, but our A clients we might be reaching out to once a quarter,
Mhm,
where our D clients we might be reaching out to twice a year. So it really kind of varies from there. I think the one key piece is that the how they fit into a different category isn't just about revenue, it's about personality
mhm,
and connection as well. The clients that you really connect with are easy to connect with and easy to spend time with, and you're going to want to spend more time with them just,
mm,
by design. Where you may have a client who is generating a lot of revenue, but the interactions are not enjoyable,
mhm,
right? So you
mhm,
might want to move them down a little bit down that list. So
mhm,
so we have different strategies for each of those. I have a rule in the office if somebody emails us, regardless of what category they're in, or if somebody calls, someone needs to respond within 24 hours.
mhm.
Even if it's to say, we've received your email, we will get back to you in 2 weeks.
Yep, yep, yep.
It's little things like that that make an enormous difference. I
That's
know I've reached out to people and I don't even know if they got my email. And I'm then
yes,
a week later, hey, did you get this? Hey, did you get this? And meanwhile, it was on their docket. They just didn't tell me.
yes, yes.
So communication is huge,
Mhm,
regardless of the personality type, to say, I got it, I'm working on it, I can get this back to you at this period of time. If you
yep,
need it sooner, let me know. And most people are not in a rush. They're happy just to know that you're working on it.
received
So,
it, yeah,
yep.
absolutely.
So communication is really important. I don't really do client events or anything like that. So it's reaching out via phone, reaching out via email. We work with a lot of clients who work for publicly traded companies. We track their stock.
Mhm,
And if a company's stock jumps 15% in one day, we're going to reach out to all those clients and say, hey, I don't know if you realized, but your company stock today jumped 15%. Why
yep,
don't we log into the system and see if we should sell any of it?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's something that I think a lot of advisors, at least the ones that I communicate, they don't think about. So it's not, this is what we're doing for everybody. It's how do
Yep,
we connect with and serve and support our clients who have different needs?
that makes sense. Versus, it being sort of tiered by assets. So,
Correct.
mhm,
Yep. It's
yeah,
not, I mean, it is obviously assets and revenue is how we run our businesses.
yeah.
But I have some clients who, maybe we're making less money on, but
Mhm,
because we have a level of connection, they refer me a client a month. I'm not kidding.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
and so that is an A client for me, even though they specifically don't have enough money, you
Yeah,
know, to be in that A tier. They're one of my top clients. They're my ambassador. So
yeah,
I don't want to only send them a birthday card or only reach out to them once a year because they're there supporting me
yep.
because they feel supported. And those are your best clients,
Yeah, it's
honestly.
this correlation between connecting with clients and customer satisfaction that then
Yeah,
ultimately creates longevity and referrals and
exactly.
sustainability. So,
Yep,
um,
yep.
oh my goodness, so fun. I feel like we could, we're about at the top of our time, but I feel like we could talk for quite some time on this. Um, for anyone that sort of, you know, if they're looking to sort of better connect with clients or tools, it sounds like, you mentioned there's a few tools that you've created that folks could could lean on. Do you have any also just quick wins, if you will, or if there's one thing that you would do you think it would just be like the 24-hour responding rule or that sort of thing? If what do you feel like has been, I don't know if it's the one takeaway for connecting with clients?
I mean, I didn't prepare to answer that question, so let me think.
I
I
threw
do,
it at you out
I
of
know,
nowhere,
I
but
do think the 24-hour response is huge. I know, like, think about when you reach out to somebody and you don't hear from them, how that makes you feel.
mhm,
Or
mhm,
if somebody replies to you immediately, how supported you feel by
mhm.
that person. So I think that that is a very big one.
Yeah.
I also think that asking open-ended questions and then
Mm,
using active listening to actually hear what people are saying
yeah.
instead of waiting to talk is a huge communication skill and technique
Mm,
that financial advisors should have or should try to develop,
mhm,
because I think very often we have so much to share
mhm.
that we do so much talking and we end up overwhelming our clients instead of just letting our clients share their fears, their
Yep.
goals, what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and then listening and connecting with that. And there's a communication technique called mirroring,
Mm,
which is sometimes it's the cadence that you speak or the demeanor that you have, but other times it's just connecting on a similar situation.
yep.
A client is sharing a fear of the market, or something like, you can share a story about a feeling that you had that was similar,
Mhm,
or a client that had a similar experience, but how you were able to help turn that around,
mhm,
and build that connection through storytelling
mhm.
without being overbearing with your stories and making sure that they've had a chance to talk to. It's like
Yes,
a nuance,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's this balance. But it's that empathy side to be able to make sure people feel heard. And sometimes people just need a trusted place where they can be heard. And if you can
Yeah,
become that trusted place to hear what they need, then it helps to create that win-win. So
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, so fun. Thank you so much for sharing about what you've done. It's
Yeah.
I admire the way that you've built your firm and the courage you've been able to take to be able to do so, especially at such a young age to where you are to today. It should proven, it's proven in the success that you've had, and I also admire too that you've put together this whole formula. I think it's an interesting model for others to learn from, sort of an approach around building connections. So
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time today and reaching out.
all right. Well, thanks again, Jackie. We'll make sure to include all the notes below and links for folks and all of that. So thank you again.
Thank you.